operating capital cycle, working capital cycle. Capital cycle is also known as operating cycle. Very, very important. So, in case of trading concerns, we can say we have cash, we will take stock, cash, then debtors, then again cash. Cash, stock, sales, debtors, cash. This is the trading concern because there is no process of RM, WIP or FG in case of the trading concerns. Similarly, time gap between sales and their actual realization of cash is termed as operating cycle or working capital cycle. Time gap between the sales and their actual realization of cash is known as the operating cycle or working capital cycle. So, this we can also say this is this as well. This is the financial concerns. Financial concerns like NBFC, like the banks, they have cash, debtors, cash. Capital cycle is clear to the determinants of the working capital. What are the determinants, factors of the working capital? They are first is the nature and size of the business. जितना ज़्यादा big industry होगी उतनी working capital की requirement ज़्यादा होगी. It means we can say does not require huge working capital. In case of trading concern, we can say working capital requires is less in order to maintain the certain stock of goods. But in case of the manufacturing organization, the working capital is high because the funds invested in each and every form of RM, WIP and FG and also the debtors. So these industrial units require too large amount of working nature and size. Service industry does not require working capital. Trading concern थोड़ा कम चाहिए. If there is a manufacturing concern बहुत ज़्यादा चाहिए because हमें अपने funds को invest करना है RM में, WIP में और FG में और debtors में. So अगर मैं working capital की बात करती हूँ और working capital के अंदर आपने हमेशा भी during this lockdown series आपने हमेशा अपने सुना होगा कि entrepreneurships पे ध्यान दो. What is why they are focusing on more and more entrepreneurs on the business concerns on the manufacturing sector? ऐसा क्यों है कि PPE kits की बहुत ज़्यादा manufacturing बढ़ गई है या और हमारी industries manufacturing sectors like sanitizers हैं इन सब पे because manufacturing industrial unit एक ऐसा unit होता है जिसके बेसिस पे पूरी इकोनॉमी इफेक्ट करती है. एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर को लगाने में देयर आर वेरियस काइंड्स ऑफ द पर्सन्स इन्वॉल्व्ड, एक्टिविटीज इन्वॉल्व्ड, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंसर्न को हॉस्पिटल भी जरूरी होता है. बिग मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंसर्न्स की बात करूं, रिलायंस है सपोज. रिलायंस में आपका रिलायंस फाउंडेशन भी है, रिलायंस स्कूल भी है, रिलायंस कॉलेज भी है. इसी तरह से उनको बहुत सारी सोशल वेलफेयर एक्टिविटीज भी करनी पड़ती है. बिकॉज जब एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंसर्न्स लगती है, सेटअप होती है, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स लगाते हैं, तो उनसे पूरी इकोनॉमी की ग्रोथ होती है. Let's come to our main topic, that is a working capital. Production policies. Production policies जो है वो इस तरह से डिजाइन होती है, अगर वो यूनिफॉर्म प्रोडक्शन है, लाइक हमारी स्टील इंडस्ट्री है, पेपर इंडस्ट्री है, टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री, दे आर यूनिफॉर्म प्रोडक्शन. कुछ चेंजेस नहीं होते कि एक बार पेपर का ये जीएसएम होगा, इतना पेपर निकालना है, तो अकॉर्डिंगली मशीन में कमांड सेट हो गई और पेपर रॉ मटेरियल इतना डालना है, मतलब एवरीथिंग इज यूनिफॉर्म और स्टैंडर्ड. देन उसके अंदर हमें लेस वर्किंग कैपिटल की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है. इफ with the production policies needs to customer with we peak at some time, then high amount of working capital is required. Seasonal industries too, where the production are laid tightly, they also need high amount of working capital. Like in the case of ACs, AC manufacturing units, this is a seasonal industry. So during the winters, AC sales goes down because of, if वो डाउन होने के बाद भी उनको प्रोडक्शन शट डाउन नहीं किया जाता, कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट ज्यादा हो जाती है उन केस में. एम्प्लॉयज को पेमेंट भी देनी है, एक्सपेंसेस जो फिक्स नेचर के हैं वो भी करने हैं. ऑल्दो द प्रोडक्शन गोज डाउन, बट the expenses which are fixed in nature, they have to pay during that period as well. If the manufacturing process is longer, then automatically more working capital is required. If the longer the manufacturing process, larger the inventory required. Growth. किसी भी business concern को further grow करनी है, and further till its saturation point, such growth may be within the existing units or by increased. If business concern want to expand their business, then there is a need for working capital. Next is the fluctuations in the trade cycle. Fluctuations in the trade cycle. What is a trade cycle? It means the policy of an prudent manner to build or pile up large stock of inventories of various forms to take the advantage of the lower price. Such fluctuations causes the business concern to demand for more amount of working capital. What is trade cycle? We will discuss. The other phase of trade cycle, there are 4 stages of trade cycle. First is the boom period. Second is the depression period. Recession period. And period. If when there is a condition of a boom period, then the policy of any prudent management means in case of a boom period, large stock of inventories are required. So we have to take more and more demand of working capital is required. The other phase is the depression phase, where there is a low or absence of the business activity. So in that case, in the condition of depression, products produced are not sold. There is a fall in the demand due to lack of purchasing power. During this time, the purchasing power of a person get reduced. As a result, entire production obtained was not sold in the market, high inventories are piled up. There is a stock gets increased, they are piled up due to amount of working capital is required. Next is the two extreme stages of trade cycle make the business concern to demand more working capital. In the both the cases, like in the case of boom period, like in the case of depression period, in both the cases, there is a demand for the working capital, huge demand for the working capital. Next is the terms and conditions. The and conditions means अगर किसी business concern के more credit to its current by its supplier for cash requirement, ज़्यादा credit पे देगा, ज़्यादा working capital की requirement होगी. अगर business concern does not allow more credit, then lesser amount of working capital is required. Next is the dividend policy. Dividend policy हमने last class में भी पढ़ी थी. इन डिविडेंड पॉलिसी और वर्किंग कैपिटल का क्या रिलेशनशिप है? Capital is well established. Very few companies declare dividend because dividend is the part of the profit. It is given in the form of effects on it. It is given in the form of cash, due consideration. So it affects the cash and the need for the cash. Dividend is always it is declared in the cash. It is also in kind, but most probably we will declare the dividends in cash, which reduces the working capital. So, shortage of working capital affects a powerful reason of skipping cash. I hope this is clear to you. Dividend policy. Next is the price level. Price level changes. These determinants and factors are very, very important. So I am focusing more on these determinants of working capital. They are very, very important. The changes in price makes the functions of the finance manager fit. Because if there is a price level changes, then company needs, if there is a rising price level, more amount of working capital is required. Because same level of current assets required, higher amount of working capital due to increased prices. Next is the efficiency. To utilize our resources in an optimum manner, save labor, capital, material, machines. इन सब की हमें properly utilized करने की है. If firm does not able to utilize its resources properly, operating cycle slow हो जाएगी. अगर operating cycle slow हो जाएगी, तो working capital की requirement ज़्यादा हो जाएगी. जितनी अच्छे से अपने resources को utilize करेंगे, working capital cycle properly चलेगी, कम working capital की requirement होगी. This is the operating efficiency. This percentage of profits and other factors you will do by your own. We are done with working capital cycle, determinants of working capital. Next is the finance capital and working capital advanced by the commercial banks. This is in your, because we have already discussed what is accruals, what is credits. Working capital advanced by the commercial banks. शॉर्ट टर्म फाइनेंस को हम लोग कैसे यूटिलाइज ले सकते हैं? बैंक फाइनेंस के थ्रू, कैश क्रेडिट के थ्रू, डिस्काउंट bills of discount के through, loans, letters of credit. These are the public deposits, interquarter deposits, paper, factoring. These all the things that we have already discussed. The most important thing in this working capital requirement Tandon Committee report and Ford Committee. What is Tandon Committee reports? The recommendation regarding the plugging of loophole in the existing credit system, जो हमारा रह गए थे, the committee is also, we can say, एक पूरी स्टडी थी, इसके बेसिस पे हमें क्रेडिट सिस्टम को एनालिसिस करना था. As a result, oversold credit, large amount of profit remains the unutilized. There is no exchange of information between the bank and the customer. So a committee was appointed, a committee और बनी, RBI ने बनाई, because this is important in MCQs or in filling the blanks. In July 1974, chairman of PL Tandon, which is who is the chairman of Punjab National Bank. What are the features of this committee? First is fixation of norms. इन्होंने अपने norms को fix किया. उसके अंदर दो categories में divide किया. First category inventory and receivable norms, and second is the lending norms. The inventory and receivable norms में 15 major industries को cover किया. उनके raw materials, उनकी stock in progress, WIP, FG, debtors and receivables and bills discounted. सेकेंड क्या किया, लेंडिंग नॉर्म्स को 3 ऑल्टरनेटिव्स में डिवाइड किया. फर्स्ट ऑल्टरनेटिव क्या था, to contribute minimum 25% of the working capital gap from the long term funds. I will write because it is an important thing. We are doing Tandon Committee. There are two. First is the inventory norms and second is the norms. There are 3 methods. First method 1, percent of working capital gap from their source funds and balances permissible borrowings. What is working capital gap? Working capital gap is equal to current assets minus current liabilities except bank borrowings. Question of Tandon Committee also. This is method 1. The writer should compute first method 25% है of total working capital gap वो लेना है and balance is the maximum permissible bank borrowings. In second method, it says the proprietor should contribute 25% of current assets. First is working capital gap. Second is 25% the current assets. From there, long-term source of finance and the balances maximum permissible borrowings. Next, method 3. Method 3 says entire investment in core current assets and 25% of remaining current assets. From there, long-term source of finance. Maximum permissible bank borrowings. The working capital gap. Second is 25% of current assets. And third is the core current assets plus 25% of the remaining current assets from their long-term source of finance. This is the Tandon committee says. These 3 points that I have written. Question: current assets are given. Other than borrowings are given. Core current assets are given. 3 method. Liabilities. Current assets, 25% of the current assets minus current liabilities. Minimum of the 25%. Here, core assets and remaining current assets multiply by 75% into the current liabilities. Next is the core committee. Before starting the core committee, we will also discuss the in detail of the Tandon committee. Okay. Page number. Page number 335. Question 9. Committee. The event has come. Ma'am, please tell core current assets. See, core current assets are those assets, as the name indicates, they are very, very beneficial or useful for the important for the business organizations. They are very specific. We can say machineries, some equipments which are used. I'll speak in English or in what I'm telling about core current assets? Give the example in core current assets are those assets which are to the business organization. Let's take an example of a specific industry, of a toy making industry, where they are making a certain type of Kinder Joy product for the chocolates for the children. So for this specific packing, they need specific jigs. For these jigs, the cost of that jigs is also, say, very important to the business organization. This is a specific equipment for a specific product. These are the core current assets. For the company. Because of that, their operations get stuck. So let's discuss Tandon Committee. We have to compare the maximum bank borrowings permissible under method 1, 2, 3. Credit purchases are given, current liabilities are given, bank borrowings are given, raw material, WIP, FG, receivables including bills discounted with bankers, other current assets. Assume core currents are 190 lakhs. Method 1 says, as we have discussed this method 1, 95% of the working capital gap. Working capital gap is current assets minus current liability. 40, these are current assets. Bank borrowings. 300, 740 minus 300, we'll get the working capital gap. Working capital gap, method 1 is 25% of the working capital gap. It is 25% of 440 is 1110, maximum permissible bank according to method 1. Second is the permissible bank borrowings is 330 lakhs, but existing bank borrowings is lakhs. Second method is 20% of the current assets. Current assets are 740, working capital gap is 440, minus 25% of the current assets is 185, and maximum permissible bank borrowings are 255, but existing is 4. Therefore, excess of bank borrowings 145 to convert first 70 lakhs, it also get converted to term loan. Because of these criteria, we analyze the working capital requirement. If the bank borrowings are 330, then existing bank borrowings are 400, then we have to convert 70 lakh into term loan to get less rate of get maximum benefit. Next, third method is 25% invest of 25%. So working capital is 440, 740 minus 190. 190 is core assets by 25%. It means core assets plus remaining current assets into 25% is 328. and maximum permissible in under method 3 is 112 and existing is 400. We have to access the bank borrowings and from 288 we'll convert this amount into term loan. I hope this Tandon committee is clear to you. Questions in your notebooks. In case of any doubt, you can ask in the group. Let's discuss then we will start with the working capital management. I hope this committee is clear to everyone. In case of any doubt, you may please ask in the chat box. Start with the core committee. Entered the recommendations of the Tandon committee. The RBI in 1979 of KB Code, Chief Officer of Banking and Development RBI. What are the points to remember? First is continuance of the free lending system Tandon committee, no bifurcation of the cash accounts, fixation of separate limits for the peak level and non-peak level requirements, submission of quarterly statement by the even small bankers, borrowers. Borrowers should be discouraged for approaching the banks frequently for ad hoc or temporary limit in case of limit, over dependence of bank credit, data relating to working capital and based on the various journals private industry engineering are given. Already for the working capital requirement, there should be a ratios which are given in the journals relating to engineering industry. These are the theoretical things of the core committee and Tandon committee is important committee. Next, start with question number 1. Then after practical questions, it will be clear to you how to solve this. It has prepared its annual budget, relevant details of which are reproduced below. Sales are given 46.80 lakhs, 25% of cash sales and balance on credit. 78,000 units for 46.80 lakhs. Raw material cost is 60% of the sales value. Labor cost is given. Variable overheads are given. Fixed overheads are rupees 5 lakh, including 1 lakh as depreciation. Next is budgeted stock levels are given. Raw material 3 weeks, WIP 1 week, FG 2 weeks. Debtors are allowed credit for 4 weeks. Creditors 4 weeks. Wages are paid bi-weekly, it means 2 weeks. Lag in payment of overheads 2 weeks. Cash in hand required is 50,000. We have to prepare a working capital budget for the company, some whatever assumptions that you may find necessary. Before going to the solution, we should know what are our requirements. This is an annual budget where sales, raw material, labor, variable overheads, fixed overheads are given. We have to find out the working capital budget. We'll convert our amount into the cost per unit. Selling price is 46.80 lakhs divided by 78,000 units, rupees 60. Selling price is 60. Raw material cost is 60% of rupees 60, 36. Labor is 6. Variable overheads is 1 and fixed overheads is 5. How it comes 5? It is exclude the depreciation first. We have taken raw material 60% of rupees 60, variable 1, labor 6. Fixed overheads is inclusive of depreciation. We have to exclude the depreciation in order to find out the working capital. So 5 lakh minus 1,10,000, this depreciation will get 3,90,000. 3,90,000 divided by number of units, 78,000. Then we will get the rupees 5 per unit. We can say 5 lakh, 10 lakh. There is an issue. Then 3,90,000. I will write. Question number 1. Overheads calculation. 5 lakh minus 1,10,000, 3,90,000 divided by 78,000 excluding depreciation is equal to rupees 5. Next is working capital requirement. Multiply by raw material into 3 weeks, 3 by 52. 1,62,000. WIP 78,000 into 42. WIP, why? Because I think it is working capital. If it is not given, then it is given. Material 100%, labor and overhead is 50%. WIP calculations. Always we have to take material as 100% plus 50% other overheads. Similarly, in this case, raw material is 36 and other overheads are multiply by 100% and multiply by 50%. It is equal to 36 and it is equal to 6. Total is 42. 2 into 1 week. It is given 1 week. 1 by 52. FG is total cost because finished product पे हम 50%. Why we will take 50%? Because it is in a work in progress. It is still not completed. It is in half stage. Therefore, material is fully done, but other overheads are still to incur. Therefore, in case of finished goods, we will take total cost because all the product costs related to material, labor, variable, fixed, and overheads are already inclusive in finished goods. So it is of 2 weeks. Debtors. Debtors is 60 multiply by 75% because sales. So 75% are debtors. Multiply by 4 weeks. 4 weeks is given. Next is the current liabilities. Current liabilities is creditors. Creditors is of RM, raw material, 36 rupees. Multiply by 4 divided by 52. Lag in wages. Wages is rupees 6 into 2 weeks. Similarly, in case of payment of overheads means fixed and variable. Fixed is 5 and variable is 1. Total is 6. 5 plus 1 is 6. Then it is total current assets, total current liabilities. Current assets minus current liabilities is net working capital required. Any doubt in this question to anyone? Or okay. Similarly, there are questions. I will also take question number 2. Then we will start with our inventory management and receivable management. Other questions are in your homework. Question number 2 says company plans to manufacture and sell 400 units of the domestic appliance per month. Question को बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ना. If it is sells 400 units per month, per year or quarterly, this thing you have to keep in mind. At a price of rupees 600 each. Ratio of cost selling price is as follows. Raw material 30%, packing material, direct labor and direct expenses. Fixed overheads are 4,32,000 per annum. Raw material is maintained 30 days, packing 15 days, will take FG 200 units and WIP 7 days. Other particulars are given in the question. Practical portion of working capital requirement is very, very, very important. They are very, very easy as well. The thing is you should know how to start with the question and then come to the end point. Credit sales represent 80% of the total sales and dealers enjoy 30 days working credit. Balance 20% are cash sales. Creditors allow 21 working days, lag in payment 15 working days, cash requirements 12% of the net working capital, and working days in a year are 300 for the budgeted purpose. We have to prepare a working capital requirement forecast for the budget year. So, let us, first of all, we have given selling price, percentage of selling price. Raw material is 600 multiplied by 30%, 10%, 15% and 5%. We will cost 180, 60, 90 and direct expenses. Fixed overheads are 4,32,000 divided by the number of units per month, 400 into 12 to get the fixed overhead cost, that is 90 rupees. Total cost is 450, profit is 150 and selling price it is given is 600. Cost is computed, selling price is given 600, balance is 150 is profit. This is clear, this cost sheet is clear. Sumant, it is given in the question, first question, that labor and overheads are 50%. It is already, we have to value the WIP at 50. Material 100. If it is not given, then in the notes or in assumption, we have to write that we will take, in case of WIP, material to 100% and other overheads at 50%. Next is the, I hope Suman. Next is the raw material stock. Raw material stock is 400 units into 12 multiplied by 180 rupees multiplied by number of days. Number of days are 30 days. This is the raw material requirement. 86 400. Next is the packing material stock. Packing material stock is 4 multiply by 60 multiply by 15 days. 15 upon number of days are 300. 15 upon 300. This is packing material. Similarly, in case of WIP calculations, write question number 2, WIP calculation. Similarly, in the question it is not given, we will assume 100% material plus 50% other overheads. We'll take value is 100% and 50% of wages and other overheads. Related to the packing material, finished goods are not sold. When it is sold, then also the packing material stock they are into packing material stage. We will assume that जो finished goods हैं वो हमारे अभी उसी stage तक ही हैं, so we will ignore the packing material days. So working capital material 180 rupees and labor 90, expense 30 and overheads 90. Labor 90, other direct expense 30, fixed overheads is variable overheads, fixed overheads is 90. इनका 50% और इनका 100%. That is rupees 180 and here rupees 05 and total is 285 rupees WIP. This is WIP calculations. It is for 7 days. This is the 7 days. Finished goods is 450. We'll take finished goods as total cost. WIP is in that stage where अभी पूरा complete नहीं हुआ, so packing नहीं हुई होगी. That's why we have ignored the packing material cost in case of WIP position. Next is the debtors. The 20% is cash sale, 80% is the credit sale. Multiply by 600 rupees. Multiply by 600 rupees is the selling price amount. Multiply by 30 divided by 300 days. This is total current assets. Similarly, current liabilities for 4800 units multiply by 180 raw material cost multiply by 21 days. 21 days are given in the question. Packing material stock, it is rupees 60 multiply, this is the creditors, multiply by 21 by 30. In case of raw material, we will also take for the packing material. We cannot ignore for the packing. also. Next is the creditors for expenses and overheads. This is the total. This is our 15 days. That is 90 plus 30. 120 rupees. Total current liabilities. This is working capital requirement, net working capital. As the question it is given that the cash requirement is 12% of the net working capital. We have computed net working capital. Cash requirement is 12% of the net working capital. Then there comes the total working capital required, that is 3,84,922. This is question number 2 solution. It is my suggestion that you will read the question once, then you will try to solve in your notebooks each and every question, then only you will able to solve in the exams. Are in your homework, and one thing that I need to discuss with you all, that is the formulas for the operating capital cycle. This is also very, very important. Formulas for the operating cycle. Core committee. Formulas of operating cycle is, first of all, because it is there questions. This is question number 4. This is in your homework. Try to solve, but I'm writing formulas here for your revisionary purpose. That is the raw material stock. It is equal to stock of raw material divided by purchases multiplied by number of days in an year. It is WIP turnover. It is WIP upon COGS multiplied by number of days in an year. Next is finished goods turnover. We can also write what is COGS. COGS is opening plus purchases minus closing stock. Finished goods turnover is finished goods divided by COGS multiplied by number of days in an year. Next is debtors turnover. Debtors divided by sales into number of days in creditors period is equal to creditors. I will share these notes in the group. So you will take the notes from the group. Divided by purchases multiplied by number of days in an year. And last is the inventory turnover Inventory turnover ratio is cost of raw material consumed divided by average stock of raw material, where average stock is equal to opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2. This is the formulas for operating cycle. It is easy for you to solve the question number 4. We have done with the working capital requirement, financing of working capital today. Next topic is inventory management. There are topics like introduction and techniques of inventory control. There's an EOQ level. There is an ABC inventory control, perpetual, VET analysis, just-in-time, FSN analysis, and inventory turnover ratio. I hope these all topics are clear to you. It is taken from paper number 8, cost accounting, material chapter. I think you have covered, पूरा का पूरा आपने cover किया होगा in paper number 8. What does inventory means? Inventory means raw materials, WIP, FG, and we can say other components related to the inventory. Inventory is an important constitute for the working capital. हमने पहले ही डिस्कस किया था कि current assets includes RM in inventory, RM and its components FG, WIP. Inventory is a major item of current assets. Most of those the goods तब उस किया जाता है, then it becomes the FG. For example, in the steel industry, the finished product of a steel industry is, but the raw material of an automobile industry. Steel किससे बनता है? It is with the help of a coal or a coke, plus other iron ore, plus other things. Where in automobile industry, steel is the input. Where steel industry, steel is the output for the steel industry. Inventory is the stock of goods that is held for the future use. 50 to 60% of the current assets. So, inventory management is what? It refers to the optimum investment in the inventory, neither too low, neither too high, because excess investment in inventory is unprofitable. It is like a working capital. Excess working capital is unprofitable. Both excess and adequate investment in inventory is not desirable. So there are techniques, there are danger points, and due to this technique, we have to maintain the optimum level of inventory investment. Techniques are EOQ, as you have already discussed. What is the economic order quantity? Economic order quantity is that quantity where your ordering cost and carrying cost are meeting at a point where there is no profit and there is minimum requirement of a cost is how many units we will reorder it. At that point is the EOQ point where ordering cost and carrying cost is low, or what is the intersection point between them? It is the EOQ. Next is the levels of inventory. There are formulas. In case of need, you can please ask. I think it is already you have done, all of you. ABC ABC inventory control. ABC is always better control, or we will categorize we can say categorize our inventory into three parts: A, B, and C. A at a higher, which has a higher constituency, or we can say higher value. B is at less higher value than the A, and C is the low value inventory. For example, in case of an industry जहाँ पर copper use होता है, तो copper is at A. Second is iron भी use होता है in same industry, we'll take it at B. And third, there are cardboards used. And although copper is used in a less amount, take it as a inventory, A level. Reason being because of its value. Whereas cardboards are huge in amount. They need more space to storage for the storage. Then also they will take into the C category. Next is the perpetual inventory system. Perpetual inventory system and the periodic inventory system we have already done in material chapter. Perpetual inventory system where the sometime the we can in their work, और उसमें वो लोग क्या करते हैं, अपनी पूरी एनालिसिस करते हैं इन्वेंट्री की. दैट इज अ परपेचुअल इन्वेंट्री सिस्टम. Analysis. PET analysis, it is wide, essential and desirable classification. इन्वेंट्री को हम 3 कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड करते हैं, जैसे हमने एबीसी को किया. वाइटल, essential and desirable. Just in time purchases means जब रिक्वायरमेंट हुई, डिमांड हुई कि 10,000 यूनिट्स चाहिए, तब हमने अपनी रॉ मटेरियल्स को जस्ट इन टाइम पिकअप किया. Sometimes the situation is good or sometimes it is not, because if there is हम procure नहीं कर पा रहे रॉ मटेरियल का, loss to industry. Similarly, there are analysis of inventory control, FSN analysis moving, slow moving and non-moving. Fast moving means जिसकी डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है. स्लो मूविंग मीन्स थोड़ी सी कम है. नॉन मूविंग मीन्स उसकी डिमांड ही नहीं है, टेक्नोलॉजी ऑब्सोलीट हो चुकी है. उन इन्वेंट्रीज को हमें कैटेगराइजेशन करना होगा. ये सब चीजें हम लोग जब भी अपने स्टॉक ऑडिट्स करते हैं, जो प्रोफेशनल शुड डू इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज, देन इन स्टॉक एनालिसिस वी विल कैटेगराइज अवर इन्वेंट्री कि कौन सी हमारी बीईटी है, या कौन सी हमारी एबीसी लेवल पे है, या कौन सी हमारी एफएसएल लेवल पे है. These things we have to take care of in order to identify and in order to give it to the I'm audible, or is there any network issue? Am I audible? Can you please write in the chat box? Okay, fine. Then comes the FSN analysis, or in whenever we are doing stock audits, then we have to take care of these inventory levels. We have to inform of the management. It is, if management wants, then you have to identify and you have to give the proper directions to the management. Then they can easily start working on their working capital plus inventory management, plus it also helps in their profitability and growth of the business. So this inventory turnover ratio is also there. I have taken it. This inventory turnover ratio is very, very important. It is cost of raw material consumed divided by the average stock of material, where the average stock is the opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2. So level or techniques of control, if you need the detail, then you can please tell me. I think आपने ये सब अपने पेपर नंबर 8 में पढ़ लिया होगा. Next is the receivable management. Chapter 11. Receivable management, there are topics like introduction, objectives. This is a theoretical topic also. Maintaining benefits, factors affecting the size of the receivables, and the optimum size of receivables. It is related to the debtors management. So, receivables are the debtors rise when we will sold the goods on credit. It for 30% the assets in India. Bad debts, risk involved, element of risk is involved. Bad debts are also there. So we have to careful analysis and proper of the receivables management is required in order to maximize the value of the firms by achieving trade-off between risk and the profitability. What are the objectives of receivable management? In sales, control the cost of receivables, cost of collection, administrative expenses, opportunity cost, to maintain the debtors at the minimum and according to their credit policy. कितना हमने customers को देना है. Suppose our customers are very good. हमें पता होना चाहिए कि ये हमें 30 days में पैसा दे देगा. Then it is okay for us. To offer cash discounts suitably the cost of the receivables, bank rate of interest, opportunity cost, so that हमारे funds block ना हो. What receivables? First is the capital cost, because it is a big resources को block कर देती है. Administrative cost, because in order to manage the debtors, there is the requirement of a staff, plus investigation staff is also there. So huge amount of administrative cost is also involved. Collection cost, there are collectors who collect, who gives the call to the regarding payments, defaulting customers regarding their recovery money. Next is the defaulting cost. This is a cost that we to bear if the customer is not able to pay our amount. These are the costs related to maintaining receivables. Next is the benefits of maintaining the receivables. What are the benefits? Why we now it is clear or it is still breaking? My voice is clear to you all? Benefits of the maintaining receivables. First is the increase in sales, increase in profit. Receivables को maintain करने में सबसे पहले क्या होता है हमारी, हम अपनी मोनोपोलिस्टिक मार्केट में अपनी क्रेडिट हमारी अच्छी है तो सेल्स भी हमारी ज्यादा होंगी, प्रॉफिट्स भी ज्यादा होंगे अगर सेल्स है, एक्स्ट्रा प्रॉफिट भी अर्न कर सकते हैं। कैसे अर्न कर सकते हैं कि हम आपको बोले कि आप हमें इतने टाइम पे पेमेंट कर दोगे तो हम आपको इतना एक्स्ट्रा बेनिफिट देंगे, तो हमें पेमेंट्स भी जल्दी मिल जाती है। दिस इज द benefits of maintaining the receivables. Next is the what are the factors affecting the size of the receivables? First is the level of sales. अगर हमारी सेल्स का लेवल ज्यादा है, वॉल्यूम ऑफ सेल्स, ऑटोमेटिकली लेवल ऑफ रिसीवेबल्स आते हैं। क्रेडिट पॉलिसी, अगर हमारी क्रेडिट पॉलिसी लिबरल है, लीनियंट है, देन हमारे रिसीवेबल्स ज्यादा हो जाते हैं। अगर फर्म की रिजिड है, स्ट्रिंजेंट है पॉलिसी, देन हमारे रिसीवेबल्स कम हो जाते हैं। आपने देखा होगा कोई बोले आपको क्रेडिट पे ले लो कोई प्रोडक्ट, हम आप 30 डेज बाद देना, तो बहुत सारी भीड़ लग जाएगी, ठीक है 30 डेज बाद तो देना है या 20 डेज तो देना है। तो जितनी ज्यादा लिबरल क्रेडिट पॉलिसी होगी, ऑटोमेटिकली देयर इज हाई लेवल ऑफ रिसीवेबल्स आर देयर। टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रेड, टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रेड, अगर हम क्रेडिट टर्म्स पे चलते हैं या हम, देर आर टू इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ द क्रेडिट टर्म्स, क्रेडिट पीरियड कितना है और कैश डिस्काउंट कितना दे रहे हैं, इस पे के बेसिस पे भी हमारे साइज ऑफ द रिसीवेबल्स या कम डिपेंड करता है। सो वी हैव डन विथ इंट्रो पार्ट, ऑब्जेक्टिव, benefit factors. We are left with the last topic, the optimum size of receivables. Okay. Third topic, that what is the optimum size of receivables? First of all, we'll see the chart, the cost benefit, and on this it is the tight credit policy. This is the profitability and this is the liquidity. In starting, we had discussed उतनी ज्यादा लिक्विडिटी, जितनी ज्यादा लिक्विडिटी उतनी कम प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी। दिस इज द थिंग, देखो जितनी ज्यादा लिक्विडिटी होगी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी कम होगी। In starting, we have discussed more is the liquidity. More is the liquidity, automatically this is the profitability. So in that case, in optimum size of receivables,